Yeah, and I will intend to speak about a project that we are running here in Erlangen since half a year and will continue for another year. It is a project that is ongoing, so I will talk much more about the background and the context of it rather than sharing results. But I still think it's still relevant and interesting. And yeah, also happy to update you on the key results and when we have them in a year. Yeah, a little bit of the background. Why are we doing this? Yeah, we are here, WHO Collaborating Center for physical activity and public health, and we are pretty concerned about planetary health, climate crisis. And as sports scientists, then obviously we ask the question, what can we do about it? How can we support transition to active mobility? Yeah, and that seems to be a win-win. Good for people and good for the planet. Yeah, because if people bike, they are not sitting in a car, and that is one of the key areas where we said we have to do more. Yeah? We have to support initiatives that teach people how to bike, who work for bike-friendly infrastructures, and we want to do more on this. And that's why we then acquired the Bikepool project. Yeah, so that's one of the key contexts, I guess. The other one is we talk Germany. I'm located here in Erlangen. It's a city close to Nürnberg in Bavaria. And you might think living here that everybody knows how to bike. It's not an issue. Yeah. And that people learn how to bike at a very early age. But studies show that this is not necessarily true. And it's in particular the more vulnerable groups, low SES, ethnic minority, that where sometimes the children and adolescents don't pick up how to bike or can bike technically, but not very safely in traffic. And so that is interesting because we would think, well, everybody bikes, yeah, but it's not the case in Germany. And so the focus of vulnerable groups is quite important in health promotion in Germany these days, and so it's good to work also on this issue. The second background is that here at our department for almost 20 years now, we have developed interventions, science-driven, and then pushed it to the real world and to the market. And you know, it's a pipeline model of public health. Flay formulated it already way back. And step by step, we did this. Yeah. And partly you can say we are successful. We have developed programs that try to engage older people in exercise to prevent dementia. We have another long-running project where it's about women with a more migrant background and to get them to have appropriate culturally sensitive exercise programs. But what we always observe in those projects, gosh, this is slow. Yeah, doing it in one community works, but scaling it to 10 communities sometimes takes 10 years. Yeah, and that is something that concerns us because if you want to reach a public health impact with a good intervention that is evidence-based, you want to go from 1 to 10 to 100 to 1,000 in a few years, and at least we don't manage this. Yeah, and so the project I will share you has been developed not out of science, but just evolved in the real world. And they take a very different approach than ours. And so that was of interest to us. And so, yeah, I will sketch out what they are doing. Yeah, it's called Bikepool, and it operates in one of our states in Hesse. And it's school teachers, physical education teachers who started everything. And they are doing it since at around 11 years. And it's in a way, it is very simple. So the school teachers have developed a non-profit organization, a club. They train other school teachers on how to teach children how to bike. And they have a partnership with the Statutory Sickness Fund. And the sickness fund provides then a school who is interested with 14 bikes and helmets and a repair shop. And then usually the schools try to acquire another 10 or 15 bikes so that they have a pool that suits a whole class of children. And then it varies a little bit by school, but in some schools, they then, instead of doing physical education for 1 year, they do biking with the goal of getting those pupils from barely knowing how to bike for some of them to being safe in traffic. And in other schools, they do more small workshops with them or go on a field trip, so it varies a little bit. But the success story of this is they do this since now 13 years, and they could go from one school to 190 schools. So they have 190 schools that are called now bike schools, where there are at least in theory some PE teachers who feel confident to bike with pupils, and where there are also bikes. And interestingly, they scaled this from 1 to 190, and nobody ever looked if this works, if children bike better at the end of the school year. And here you see a few more details on this. And it is rapidly evolving. They are also doing now some projects in schools where pupils have certain disabilities. And the physical education teachers that do this are very passionate about this. And we teamed up with them, and we teamed up with the sickness fund, because the sickness fund, after 10 years, asked, well, how do we spend our money? Does it work? Yeah. And we said, hey, let's figure this out. And so we are more in a partnership. We are never trying to kind of just evaluate them and point fingers at them, but we want to make the project better. But that's a whole setup. Sorry. And we are guided by the idea that, hey, maybe they do things better than we are. If they go from one school to 190 schools in 12 years, something must be right. Yeah. But we are still scientists, and we have to say, well, does it really work? Why does it work? Why maybe does it not work? Yeah. And I will later talk a little bit about what I mean by is it working? Yeah. But we are also engaging in more transformative science here. And so our question is also broader. Can we make them better? Can we optimize what they are doing? And can we help them grow faster? Because if it works in 190 schools, and maybe even we find evidence, why it works and everything, why not go from 190 schools to 1,900? But that would need money, another setup, because they are a volunteer-based organization and they are at the upper limit of what they can do. As I told you, we are in the middle of collecting data, so I can't share results with you. But I can share with you how we're going to evaluate things. We engage them in creating the plan for the evaluation. And obviously, they will support us in collecting the data, analyzing the data. And in exchange, we are already helping them now to gain visibility and maybe acquire more funding, because as I said to you, their main problem is people power in a way. So we went there a few months back, and interesting. These are 8th graders, and some of them look like children, and some of them look like adults. And you see the stairs here. So some of the pupils had extremely difficult a difficult time to get their bike out. And some we visited a lesson with about 20 pupils, and I would say 3 of them couldn't bike at all. They needed really help to getting started. And maybe there are another 5 or 7 that by watching them how they ride in the schoolyard, you see, well, no, that is not good enough for going outside of the schoolyard and go into traffic. Yeah, they struggle, but technically they can bike. And the school had probably 80 to 90% of pupils had a background as an ethnic minority. Yeah, so it's really, really hard work also for the teachers, because imagine you are alone and you have 20 kids that age, and now you teach them how to bike. And some of them are doing wheelies and others can't even get started. Yeah, so really an environment that is difficult. Yeah, and now we talked with them, and so we will do a mixed method evaluation. We will do a survey. We want to know from all 190 schools what's going on. We will do visits, qualitative interviews. We want to talk with the pupils. Yeah, we will do the small focus groups. Yeah. And also the sickness funds asked for this. Yeah, can we show that they bike better? So we are now developing a little test. Yeah, that could pre-post show how their skills evolved in some school. And interesting, because there are not many tests out there, scientifically validated tests that you could use for something like this. Yeah, so we are figuring things out and probably develop our own one now. The main questions, yeah, that we want to tackle with this are listed here. And that is obvious, but they're not easy to figure out. Does this intervention really make the adolescents ride more? And if so, for which ones? Yeah, maybe again we increase inequalities rather than diminish them. We don't hope so, yeah, but we never know. We know obviously that there are then for ethnic minorities, low-income groups, there are more barriers than just knowing how to bike. Yeah, because maybe it's that they have no money, they don't want to bike or things like that. But then we also know, well, one of the determinant of biking is that you know how to bike. Yeah, so it's an important one. The second question is then 190 schools, and some of them have been trained, the teachers have been trained 5, 6, 8 years ago. Do they still do this, yeah, each year? Or are the bikes broken, the repair shop not functioning anymore, the teacher who was trained retired, yeah, that type of thing. We're going to talk with all 190 schools, and so hopefully figure this out. And then what are the barriers, yeah, for the schools to maintain such an intervention? Also very important then for us, does it change something in the school environment if they can call themselves a bike school? Yeah, does it make a school more bike friendly? Do more pupils then do active transport to school? And importantly, why and how did they grow so fast? Without any evidence that it works. As scientists, that is kind of odd. We would say, come on. Yeah, at one point, the sickness fund after 2 years should have said, hey, wait a minute, we are spending 100,000 euros per year here, and nobody ever checked if this is well spent. Yeah, but yeah, sometimes we can learn maybe from the real world and learn how they grow so fast. Yeah, so that's one objective, to answer those questions, and hopefully in half a year, 10 months, we have the data to delve into them. But then, yeah, lessons learned. I started to talk a little bit about this. Yeah, well, why are we doing this? Why are we developing a lot of interventions in our ivory towers and then push them on the market and are quite slow with it? Yeah, with the advantage of, yeah, then it's always evidence-based and we can say this, but maybe with disadvantages that then we are very slow to scale, and what sometimes in the literature is called a voltage drop that we observe, that something works well in the more laboratory setting, but then as we inch towards communities and people, yeah, we lose the effectiveness. And so then what are we doing? The main problem always seems to be if we are more science-driven in our interventions, then maybe they are not fitting the practice quite well. And here we have with Bikepool something that seems to be, you could call it market-based. Yeah, it has no evidence-base today, but it's scaled fast and it's very fit. Yeah, fit to practice, because otherwise they would not have grown. And so this tension between those two two approaches to develop public health impact is quite interesting for us, and we want to learn more about it. Maybe we want to switch more towards looking for market-based solutions and supporting them, providing the evidence base, if they are really faster to grow compared to our more science-driven interventions. Yeah, I guess that's what I wanted to share with you. And I believe we have later the discussion. And I guess, Katharina, it's your turn.
Thank you, Karim.
So thank you very much, Karim, for the presentation. And thank you very much for the opportunity to speak in here. And hello, everybody in the audience. So I'm trying to show you my screen.
Yes, it's working.
So I assume you see my screen now. Very good. So like already said in the last webinar, the number of young people that commute by bike to school in Switzerland did decrease over the last decades. And it did decrease extremely between 1994 and 2010. And that's why in 2011, ProVelo Lausanne developed a program with the aim to motivate young people to take their bikes to school and also in the leisure time. So that was the beginning of DefiVelo. So in the last 13 years, DefiVelo became a national initiative in Switzerland, promoting cycling amongst the 13 to 20-year-old. And it's really important in this age group because it's a crucial phase of life at an age when teens choose their transport preferences for their later life. So, and DefiVelo presents cycling as a fast, trendy, and desirable mode of transport. So what we do exactly. And during the school year, we go to the schools to do a so-called qualification round. So the name is qualification round because they can get qualified to the final later on during the school year. So classes spend 3 hours discovering the diversity of cycling, and they are taught by young cycling instructors. And we train them every year. At this qualification round, the participants do a little cycling tour around their village or around their city with 5 different stations. And at these 5 stations, they collect points. So it's a competition, and they're trying to get qualified to the final. And the 5 stations there were 2 security stations. One is where they learn how to ride a roundabout correctly, and the other one, how you correctly turn left. Then we have an agility station where they can do an agility course, or they can choose to play bike polo. The first station is all about mechanics. They learn to change the inner tube. And last but not least, we have the encounter station where they meet people from cycling professions, like, for example, bike messengers, or they meet people who discovered the world by bike. They are in a group of 5 to 8 pupils, and they are guided by these trained instructors, and each group collects points, and all the points of all group are counted together. And if the class is good enough, so they need to have 2/3 of all the points that were possible, they are qualified for the final. And to show you what the final is, it's the easiest way to show you a movie. So I hope you can hear the sound.
Bonjour, nous venons du Collège du Sud. Roll.
On vient de Lausanne du coup. Du Collège du Sud à Bulle.
Von Zürich, aus dem Remi-Bühls Literargymnasium.
Emma.
Moi.
Et ben Lucie.
Aujourd'hui, on vient pour faire le défi vélo avec ma classe, la finale du défi vélo, et puis on compte bien gagner le voyage pour Berlin.
On va gagner. Le voyage à Berlin, ouais.
Also, es würden wir gewinnen. Aber ja, es ist natürlich immer schön, den Beinvelo fahren. Ja. De pouvoir passer un bon moment avec des gens qu'on aime bien, avec notre classe, et s'amuser, faire du vélo.
Et les pédales juste ici, ça fait 5 éléments. Tout va bien. Grosse dédicace à Ludo, on t'aime.
J'ai trouvé la journée vraiment splendide et fabuleuse aujourd'hui. J'ai beaucoup apprécié chaque seconde.
C'est après les activités, on a été sauter dans l'art. C'était vraiment génial parce qu'il faisait très beau aujourd'hui.
Moi je pense qu'on a beaucoup de chances de gagner, même s'il y a beaucoup d'équipes très très fortes. Je pense qu'on a quand même nos chances.
On garde l'espoir.
En vrai c'est faux.
C'est totalement faux. Europa Park ou le voyage à Berlin.
So as you could see in the video, the final is a Alley Cat, a bike orienteering race with funny stations through a city in Switzerland. This year it was in Bern. That was the video you just saw. Next year it will be in Fribourg. And the prizes they can win are pretty cool, and they would all like to win because the German speaking classes, they could win a language stay in Paris, and the French speaking classes could win a language stay in Berlin. So they're really motivated. So now I would like to present you also some numbers. Over the last 13 years, 65,000 participants did already join DefiVelo. And after every qualification, we collect data. We have a questionnaire that all participants fill in. And most of the data I'm going to present now are results of this questionnaire. So over the years, 55% of all participants felt motivated to cycle more after DefiVelo. 3 months follow-up showed us that after 3 months, 9% reported that they really did cycle more, and the teachers did say that yes, that's right. So we think that really 9% of the participants do cycle more after DefiVelo, and this number is comparable with the numbers of projects in adults in Switzerland, so we're pretty happy. We also ask questions about safety concerns. Over the years, 80% felt safer on their bikes after DefiVelo, and in the follow-up, 49% did feel safer after 6 months, so that's also a pretty good number. We once in 2019 did a scientific research. We wanted to know if the participants do not only feel safer, but they also ride safer. So we did a validated sport motoric bicycle test 1 week before and 1 week after DefiVelo in an intervention group and in a control group who didn't do DefiVelo, but they did the same test just at the same point of the week. And we could show that the intervention group did ride the bike safer after DefiVelo compared to baseline, and compared to the control group when we adjusted the model for baseline. We wanted to do this test again 6 months after the baseline test, but unfortunately the lockdown came and we had to cancel all the tests. So what is our recipe for the success? The most important thing we do is peer education. The young instructors teach with respect and equally, and they are more or less 5 years older than the pupils. So most of our instructors were students and they work with us beside their time at the university. We also evaluate the instructors after every qualification round, and they are always rated really, really good. Furthermore, Defi Velo is a hands-on practice. We have small groups, they can help each other. It's a mix of fun and competition, and you collect the points as a class and not as a single player. And the other thing that was really good is the school approach. Like this, we can reach everybody, every social classes, with all the backgrounds. It doesn't matter if they can bike or if they not bike, we touch them. And during the lockdown, we were not able to do our work. We couldn't go to schools. So we developed a digital bicycle teaching tool for young people with the same aim as Defi Velo to promote the bicycle. We also made our instructors to moderators, and we teach young people in the following four topics: the bicycle as a mean of transport, road safety, health and climate, and bicycle mechanics with instructions for really simple repair work. With VeloLab, we also invented a workshop for young people called VeloLab Repair, where apprentices of a Swiss bicycle shop teach young people to repair their bikes, with the aim to open up a mechanics workshop at their school where they can help other pupils to repair their bikes. So it's a really good multiplicator. What we also invented with VeloLab is a workshop for teachers. So we go to school and learn teachers how they can teach their pupils to ride their bike. Or we also do webinars where we show them what they need to get prepared for a bicycle trip with their classes. So I would also like to show you a little video of VeloLab so that you know a little bit what it is. I will show it in French. I think the most of you will understand it. I will also just show you a short video. And this is Fanny, our Defi Velo instructor, which moderated here in VeloLab how to turn left.
Comme pour les ronds-points, c'est important de penser à certaines choses quand on veut tourner à gauche. Les risques de collision existent. Et en plus, on doit traverser 2 voies. Je vais te proposer une manière de faire. Regarder en arrière, signaler avec le bras, un regard de contrôle et on se présélectionne. Il faut se placer à droite de la ligne centrale.
So if you're interested in VeloLab, you can always visit our VeloLab site. We have a link in the presentation too. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm very looking forward to your questions.